I'm Bree.
And I'm Hannah.
We met through our shared obsession with romance and fantasy novels.
And honestly, we haven't stopped talking about books since.
Each week, we're sharing what we're reading, sharing our opinions,
and spilling all the tea about our lives.
So whether you're here for book recs, hot takes, or you just want to hang out with us for a bit,
you're in the right place. We're also talking about life, sharing our highs and lows,
and having the kind of conversations we'd have over margaritas.
Welcome to Chapter Chats.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to today's episode because it's February and a lot of people are like in love or whatever and like Valentines. I'm not one of them. You know this about me, right? I'm a Valentine's hater. I don't know why. I don't like it.
I mean, it fits your personality.
Well, that's not very nice.
I was like, I don't really love or hate Valentine's Day because I'm single, so it doesn't matter to my life.
I just get kind of annoyed, I think, with like made up holidays, Halloween, like all these things where I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, or they're so far removed from like the original point of them. Like obviously Halloween and Valentine's were both like supposed to be honoring saints, but like where is that at all now? Like our entire way of celebrating it now is just, yeah, anyway. I love my friends. I like Galentine's, but Valentine's is like
that's fun.
Concept is not the best, but I really think it is the little hearts.
I would say
anyway, what's your high this week?
My high of the week is that on Saturday, I literally did nothing all day long but read my book in my bed, which I have not had a day where I just sat in bed and read in months. So it was so nice to do nothing. I read like 600 pages and finished the book I was reading, so it was wonderful.
I feel like those days always hit harder too if you've had like a really busy couple of weeks or whatever and you just get to veg.
Yes, it was much needed. What was your high?
Well, it's not like a fully complete high, but I wanted a little free library for so long, and I finally got one for like Christmas / my birthday, but they take forever to ship. So it finally arrived and we still need to like finish putting it together and actually get it out. But just having it like here and being like, I will be the owner of a little free library is very exciting to me. So that's my
I think your house is, I think we've talked about this before, but I think your house is like in a perfect spot for a little free library.
Yeah, I'm right. For people who don't know, I'm not going to give you my address, but my house is like right on the corner of like an entrance to a neighborhood. So we have a pretty big front yard with like a lot of space to put a little free library. And I live on a street called Sanderson. So you have to like name your little free library to like map it on their registry or whatever. So I'm naming mine the Sander Shelf, which I'm very excited about.
That's very cute.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for when it's going to be set up, but currently it isn't. So, but it's still my high. How about your low?
My low is the winter blues. Because it's finally, for a long time here in Oklahoma, it's been like in the 60s and 70s, even though it's been December. And you can call it global warming all you want, but I don't care because it's been 60 and 70 in December and I relish in warm days. And that's finally gone away. And now it's like 19 degrees outside and I am miserable and I hate it. I am not a cold weather girl at all.
I was about to say, Bree's like a bigger summer person than anybody I've ever met. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I like warmer weather, but I don't like love it. Whereas Bree would like bake in the sun all day long if it were an option.
Yeah, I love the sun.
My low is not like a real low. I just couldn't really think of anything that's actually like going bad in life right now, which sounds very...
That's good.
Like, yeah, I've been having a really hard time falling asleep. Which I don't even think it's like a really hard time. I just normally don't struggle with that at all. So if it takes me even like 20 minutes, I'm like, F this. Like, I hate it. So I've been doing a lot more like Kindle reading in bed, which is really like, typically I prefer to be reading like a physical book and sometimes doing that while listening to audio. So I don't usually read off my Kindle a ton unless it's right before I go to sleep or I'm in like the car or like traveling or something. So I've been doing more Kindle reads, but at what cost?
Okay, let's get into our recent reads. What is your recent read you want to talk about?
So I just finished Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. I'm still not 100% sure that I'm saying his name correctly. And I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I feel like that's one of those books, and he's one of those authors where everyone universally, I feel like, loves him. And so I don't know if I just built it up in my head a lot thinking I was gonna like love it, but reading through people's reviews afterwards, I'm like, okay, I feel like I got what I was supposed to out of it. I think I just thought it was gonna be a lot more. I don't know. For people who don't know, this is like it's about a bunch of different people who are involved in this like hostage situation after a bank robbery, which sounds very high stakes, but it's a very like meandering literary. It doesn't feel very high stakes when you're reading it, kind of like examination of the human condition, which I do like books like that. Like I think he's an excellent writer and the story was really good. I think I went into it with a different thought of what it would be, so it wasn't like a 5-star. But I did really enjoy it.
Books are really hard. They're really hard to describe to people, to like tell them like this is what to expect. Like it's very character driven, it's very emotion driven. Like you describe the plot and like you said, it doesn't really convey what the story actually is. If you're like, oh, it's about a hostage, like it's hard to put his books into words, I feel like.
I feel like it's what Normal People by Sally Rooney would have been if that book were good. Sorry.
If that book succeeded, it would be this.
I'm like a huge, well, I can't even say I'm a Sally Rooney hater because I haven't read anything else by her, but I'm a huge Normal People hater. People are like, you like the show so much better, and that might be true, but I hated the book enough to have no interest in the show.
You're like, it
But
sucks.
I feel like the things that people say when they do like that book is how I felt about Anxious People. It's what I'm trying to get at while also shoving Sally Rooney into a bus at full speed. What was your recent read?
My recent read was Iron Gold by Pierce Brown, which is the 4th book of the Red Rising saga. And yeah, it was awesome. I will say I was just talking to Hannah about this, but it was definitely slower at the beginning than what the first 3 books were, in my opinion, because you get a bunch of new point of views, and it's not like characters we know. They're like random new characters, and I was so uninterested in them. I did not care. I wanted to skim them. I was like, these people are annoying. I want to know what my boy Darrow is doing. He's all I care about. But that was like 150 pages that I had that feeling. And then all the point of views started to get better, and I literally devoured the last 450 pages on Saturday. That's what I was reading when I was reading all day. And it was a 5-star read. Yeah, it was a 5-star read. It was so good and just gut-wrenching. And if you like to be hurt, you need to read the series. That's all I gotta say.
I'm excited to read it. If you've been around, as if our podcast is so old, this is like the 6th episode, we both read the trilogy in 2025, like at the very end of 2025. So I haven't picked up Era 2 or whatever people call kind of the next set of books yet. It's on my list. I am buddy reading them with Michael, my husband, and he really only does audiobooks, so he's on like the wait list at our library, and I think he has like 6 weeks left, maybe. So I'll be behind you, but I will get there.
I was like, I might have the audiobook checked out from your library, actually.
Well,
I can return that. I should return that.
Are you doing the audio?
I had it in case I wanted to do it, and then I just devoured it on Saturday, so I didn't need it.
Cool. Yeah. You should return that. Everybody that comes and visits me, I feel like we go and get a library card for them because my library system, I think, not to start bragging about my library system, but I think it's the 3rd largest in California, which probably just by itself makes it, I would guess, like top 15 in the country, probably. So
it's nice. My library, like, you can only check out, I think, like 10 books at a time, maybe, and you can only put like 15 on hold, and you can put like 60 on hold at your library.
Yeah, you can have a lot of holds on mine. I have 2 library cards because I'm technically in Sacramento County, but I'm like right on the border, so all of the like other counties' libraries are like closer to me, so I always get them mixed up. But yeah, one of them, and you can do the same with like physical materials too. So when I'm doing like a library haul, I can bring like multiple bags with me, like totes. It's a good time. You should move here. Anyway. So, in honor of Valentine's, despite me being, having a bad attitude about it, we decided to do some of our favorite romances. These aren't going to be focused on like a specific trope or anything. They're just books that we like. And I guess we'll just go back and forth.
That sounds good.
Cool. You want to kick us off? I didn't put mine in any particular order either.
I didn't either. I just listed them. So, yeah, so these are not like from our least favorite to our most favorite. It's just our like go-to romances that we love and we recommend. So my first one is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I've read this book like 3 times now, I think, and it was one of the first romance books that I read when I got back into reading in law school, and I hadn't even started my Bookstagram or Book Talk yet, and I had been on my regular Instagram and someone had posted about this, and so I went and bought it because I was avoiding reading my constitutional law homework. And I went to the bookstore and I bought this, and it was so good. First of all, the main character's name is Bree. Already a win in my book. Hello. But the romance was just so good. I loved Archer. He's a different MMC than what I typically read because he's much sweeter and golden retriever and just kind. And the friendship that they built before they fell in love was beautiful. I loved everything about it. And there's like an underlying mini suspense kind of plot. It's not hugely suspenseful or like prevalent, but it is there with small town politics and trying to figure out who did what. And the ending, there's like one scene that I literally had my jaw on the floor and I was crying until I figured out what actually happened. It was so good, the whole package. I love this book.
I have not read this one yet. It is on my TBR. I've read a few other Mia Sheridan books with like varying levels of success, but I feel like this one's always the like go-to for people who love her books.
I think this is her best book, in my opinion.
I feel like it's definitely, because you've read quite a few of hers as well, like the one that I feel like you talk about the most. I think there's always just a special place in your heart for any books you read like before you were just inundated with all of the like buzzy books and things like that, because you're not, you were, I don't know. I feel like this about my books where you like sit and the ones where you really had your own opinion before you knew what anybody else thought about them, I feel like stick with you more than like, I just read this because I saw it everywhere.
No, and I can't believe I haven't, because I annotated this for 2 different friends, and I can't believe I haven't done that for you yet. Maybe I should.
Is it because you secretly hate me?
You got me.
You have a bunch of special editions of this one too, right? Or at least one.
Yeah, I think I have 2. I love this book. I have the like collector's annotated edition that she released through her publisher, and then I think I have, maybe it's the Eternal Embers book box. It's not here, it's upstairs, or I would show it to the people who are watching because it is so cute and cozy and homey, and
We'll jump in with one of mine now. The first one I have on this list is, I think it was my first Abby Jimenez book that I ever read, which is Part of Your World. And I read this definitely towards the like beginning of my Bookstagram social media journey. And I feel like I'd seen really mixed reviews about it. I felt like this was one that people either really liked or really did not like. And I was in the former camp, obviously. And I think the big thing that stuck out to me, one was like the conflict that the FMC had with her family. I think Alexis is like a pretty successful doctor from a line of pretty successful doctors. And so there's a lot of kind of family expectations, and you're not, I don't want to say like a Nepo baby, but the expectation is that she's like inheriting this whole like kind of business that they've built up. And then the romance is with Daniel, who's this guy that lives, I don't remember how they meet actually. I really want to do a reread of this book, but he lives in like the small town that's kind of down the road or whatever from the hospital, and runs like, I guess like an Airbnb almost feeling type thing out of his family's property. And Alexis just feels very known by Daniel in a way that I think is sometimes hard to convey in the space of just a standalone romance. Like it felt like the type of character development that typically would have happened over multiple books that was kind of condensed into one. And it was like small town, but I feel like the focus wasn't really on the small town. Oh, I think she met him in a bar, didn't she?
I think so. And then I think she like ends up, her friends or something end up like booking there, and did they have a one-night stand?
Yeah, and then I think her friends booked there, and she shows back up and is like, oh, you're the guy from the...
Yeah, I was like, I know that she eventually shows up there because they had booked or whatever, because then her friend's like mad about something and gonna leave a bad review, and she's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, so I think it was just a really fun book in like a lot of different ways, but it definitely felt like a much deeper, grounded romance, which I think is pretty pervasive across all of Abby Jimenez books, so it's not like that's like different or unique, but definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I definitely think that like Abby Jimenez really has such a strength in writing a romance book that also tackles heavy topics and weaving it together in a way that neither feels like it's taking the main stage. Like both feel fully developed across her books.
I'm surprised yours truly isn't on your list, but I mean, there's not.
Well, I just ran out of space. Yeah, but that's my favorite Abby Jimenez book, and that's what I also love. Me and Hannah, we have a lot of the same favorite series. Like when we talk about, not necessarily on this list today, but overall. And we almost always have different favorite books. And typically our favorite books are the characters that relate to us. And they're almost always
selfish.
But they're almost always really good friends too, or related somehow or something. So I just think it's really cool to see, like, we'll be like, oh, I relate to this character. And then we're like, oh, they're BFFs, or oh, they're sisters, or whatever. And so just a shout out to our friendship. Anyway.
One of my first, like, Brie and I always go pretty hard on, like, gifts for each other because both of our birthdays are, like, near, well, I can't really say that yours is super near Christmas, but I hate shipping things, so I always combine her birthday and Christmas gifts. And then my birthday actually is near Christmas, but we'll send, like, giant. Like, you're probably the person I go hardest for holidays other than, like, Michael. And
Yep.
one year, not this year, because I still haven't shipped her box for this year, I got us matching, like, custom t-shirts that had, like, the name of all of our favorite characters that are, like, not, it's like Brie said, not always, like, related, but, you know, in the same series or, like, whatever. I still wear mine all the time. Anyway, sorry. How about what's your next one? I'm like, we're going to keep this episode short.
Number 2. Okay, so my next favorite romance is specifically the book Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie, but I put the entire Addicted Calloway Sisters series because, one, if you have followed me on any platform for any time, you will know that I absolutely love that series, but also Kiss the Sky is like the 5th book, I think, and so if you're going to start the series, you need to start at the beginning. But my personal favorite is definitely Kiss the Sky. I relate to Rose Calloway Cobalt so much as like the elder sister, the sometimes violent showing of love. Like just everything she does is super relatable to me. I love her and Connor. They have the most intellectual, witty banter I've ever read. And I love just them as a couple, as family, as friends, just everything about that book works for me. Also, it's super silly at times, and I think it's just a good time.
I have that whole series on my TBR where it has sat for some time. I think I might have all the books at this point. I'm not sure.
I gifted you one for Christmas, I think, or maybe it was for your birthday or something.
Yeah, you gave me one.
Year.
I had one on my, like, book vent list, and I've had, like, quite a few of them for a while, so I just need to read them.
Get to it.
My next one is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is my favorite Elena Armas book, I think, and she had a while there where she was coming out with one a year. I don't think she has one this year, maybe? I don't
think
know.
she has like an audio only.
Oh, interesting.
I think.
Not sure if I'll read it because every book after this one I haven't loved as much. But this was her first, I don't know if it was her debut, but it was her first of the like modern romances that she has. And it has a lot of my favorite tropes in it, like rivals to lovers. Maybe controversial, I don't really know. I really love a single POV romance because I love not knowing what the man is like up to, since I never know what a man is up to anyway, but like the getting to like kind of experience everything from one perspective and find out along with the lead, like what she was right about, what she was wrong about, watch them both like kind of miss each other throughout the whole thing, I think is really fun. But I also really loved her family aspect in this because they're big, they're loud, they're in Spain for a big, like, I don't think it's a wedding, it's I think just a family reunion, and it's just fun and warm, and it feels like my big fat Greek wedding in a book, but they're Spanish. Important.
No, I gave that book 5 stars too. It's one of my favorites. It's so good. I agree with everything you said. My next one is yet another series because I'm a cheat. Specifically the book Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforty, but the entire Windy City series, I gave every single book in that series 5 stars. It's a 6-star series for me. I love it so much. But Rewind It Back is going to be my favorite. I loved Rio and Hallie's story. I'm a second chance girly. Like, I just am in my heart. I love a second chance. I really loved Rio as an MMC because he was different than what I was expecting, because he kind of been like the friendship backbone of every book in the series, and then he finally got his love story, and you knew that he was like a hopeless romantic. And then you find out his childhood friend and all these different elements. And I also really, really enjoyed the idea of like music as a love language that this book really focused on, because they like attached music to core memories, and they'd be like, let's rewind it back, let's listen to this song. And I do that with my life. Like, I'm always attaching music to characters or books or moments. And so I really related to that, and I just loved it. And she writes found family better than almost any author I've ever read. And so you just feel like you're a part of this group of friends. And it's so good. So good.
I feel like found family too can be difficult to accomplish in like the contemporary romance space, because you typically have stories that are so centered around two people that you're not always getting to know everybody like together. It's like them as individuals and like these little snapshots.
Yes.
And I feel like that's feedback that everybody has for that series, is like everybody's got obviously like their favorite couple of books or whatever, but you love genuinely all the characters. I have not read these books yet, But again, own them all. They're all on my shelf.
One
I
day.
think Mile High was actually like on a 23 and 23 or 24 and 24, one of those lists for me at some point, and I didn't get to it. So maybe this will be the year.
That sounds right. Fingers crossed.
I was sort of waiting until it wrapped up, honestly, but now it is officially like done, so I'm out of excuses.
Get with it.
My next one is You with a View by Jessica Joyce. I think this book, kind of like what Brie was talking about earlier, I felt not necessarily like I related on like a spiritual level to the main character in this one, but the book as a whole felt very my life coded. It's set in Northern California. It's mostly in like Marin County, which I've never lived fully in Marin County, but I've lived within like an hour of Marin County for my entire adult life pretty much. And they go on a road trip, which is a road trip I did with one of my best friends like maybe 3 years ago, where they went basically to a bunch of like national parks in the Southwest and like, yeah, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, whatever, and then ended up in Tahoe, well, Lake Tahoe, for those of you who aren't around here to know what Tahoe is, but that's the lake that we go to. I'm about an hour away from it where I live now. My husband's family has like a cabin up there. We were gonna get married there. Like there's a lot for me that's rooted around the same places that this story took place in. And I feel like that's really rare for like California books, because they're usually all about LA and not as much about Northern California. I really liked that. I liked the like quest element. It felt very like Letters to Juliet to me. Same kind of vibes of like our grandparents were affiliated in some way, so we're going to kind of retrace their steps to figure out where that came from. And this is one of the few books that's had a like social media sort of aspect to it that I think wasn't super cringy. I tend to like not love books with a ton of like pop culture references, because I think one, they make the book age not super well, and then two, I think it's not always relatable for everybody. But I think Jessica Joyce did really well on this one with that. And I love her other book, The X-Vows, as well, but I think for all the things I just talked about, I connected with You with a View a little bit more, but I still love her storytelling in both.
No, I agree. I loved both of her books. I loved You with You. I loved You with a View. I thought it was so good. Also, fun fact, Hannah took me to Lake Tahoe when I visited her the last time, and we almost got eaten by a bear.
That is true. That's not happened to me before, but we were on a hiking trail, and there was literally a bear, not like chasing us, but we saw it. It's probably like 50 feet away, I would say. Maybe closer.
Well, it was closer than I want to be to a bear.
Big brown boy. He was cute, but he went off in the other direction.
He was. I'm back again with another series, which is the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. My personal favorite is Reckless, again, because Winter Hamilton was the second character in my life that I felt like was literally like just me written into a book. My first one was Nesta. If you've listened at all, you know. But literally, like, Winter Hamilton, I related to her so much, and how people reacted to her, things she said, the way she confronted her, just everything about her I related to. And so, like, reading that story, I was so emotional. Plus, it's accidental pregnancy, which controversially I love. So just everything about it. Theo Silva is that man, one of my favorite MMCs of all time. And just like with the Windy City series, I think Elsie Silver does a really good job of writing found family and just family in general. And so I really like that those are big themes in her books, and just everything about it just felt like a hug. And I love it.
You really are sort of cheating with all of the series mentions, but it's fine. I also love Chestnut Springs. I think my two probably favorite female, well, my very favorite is Sloane, which is funny because, again, her and Winter are good friends, but her and Summer, I would say, are the two that I relate to most for different reasons. But I loved Reckless also. I feel like there's very few romance series, again, that I feel like every book hit, really. I know you don't necessarily feel that way about Flawless, but I loved Flawless also. So
I think I gave it 3.5, but I feel like if I reread it, I would like it more, because it was just like the moment I feel like I read it, because I still really enjoyed it. Summer and Rhett just annoy me because I was like, get over it, get together. It's like, move on. And so I feel like now if I read it, I would have way more love for them because I understand them more. But in the moment, I was like, you need to get this together. Y'all, we know you want each other. Yeah. But besides, also I feel like every Elsie Silver series, the first book is a 3.5 for me almost. And then the rest of them are like 4 or 5s. So I think that may just be like something about her first books don't hit for me as much as the rest.
That's fair. I think Chestnut Spring so far is my favorite series of hers. I've read, why am I forgetting what the first one is? Is it Gold River Ranch?
Gold Rush Ranch.
Yes. I liked all of those. I think I only gave one of them a 5 stars, and then I'm not done yet with Rose Hill. I've only read 2.
I was like,
so we'll see how I feel.
Chestnut Springs is definitely my favorite. I was like, controversially, I only like 2 of the books in the Rose Hill series.
My next one is Happiness for Beginners by Katherine Center. This is, I think, my favorite Katherine Center book. I really just love Helen and Jake, and I feel like they come together in such a like wholesome way, honestly. And I think this feels almost less like a romance and more like women's fiction. I don't love that term, but just in the sense that like the main focal point, I think, is Helen's own personal growth journey and finding like herself and who she is outside of the people that are around her. And Jake being part of that is like a big reason that she ends up falling for him, but he doesn't like complete her. She completes herself, and then he also happens to be there, which I think is important messaging to send to people, since I think in a lot of romances it seems like, you know, someone's life was a dumpster fire and then they met their person and now everything's better, and that's not really the reality a lot of the time. So I really like this one. I also love like a wilderness backpacking plot, and so that aspect of it was really fun for me too, since I used to do a lot of backpacking.
Yeah, I will say I loved Happiness for Beginners too, and I feel like Helen is written for the eldest daughters. So if you're an eldest daughter, like, you will relate to Helen and things that she goes through. So, not that other people can't, but I definitely feel like, at least for me as an eldest daughter, like, I related hardcore to it. My next one is Shadows of You by Katherine Cowles, and Katherine Cowles is probably in my top 3 favorite authors of all time. I think I've read her entire backlist, which is over 40 books, and I've only given 2 under a 4-star. Like, the way she writes, something about it just hits for me every single time. But Shadows of You, I think, is my favorite and or my second favorite. I go back and forth. But I just love this book. I loved the development of both our MMC and our FMC, because they both had like kind of a tortured past that other people didn't know about. So you see their growth as individuals plus their growth as a couple. And it's Grumpy Sunshine, single mom, heroine on the run. So many things that I loved. The found family and family elements are there. And the suspense plot was so good. The like twist I did not see coming at all. I just ate it up. It was phenomenal.
I'm excited to get to Katherine Cowles. She's another one that's been on my TBR for a long time. I feel like there's not really a single person that I can think of where I've seen a review for her books that's been like negative. Like, there's a lot of people who haven't read her yet, but I've not seen people who are into her that have not had a good time. So I'm excited to get there as well. I think I also kind of always thought that I wouldn't be a big romantic suspense person, but every romantic suspense I've read, I've really enjoyed. So I think I just need to like get over that.
It was never a genre that I like had thought about until I picked up Katherine Cowles and then a Samantha Young book, and I was like, wow, I actually really, really like this, and I never would have picked it up on my own. So if you're thinking about trying it, I highly recommend it.
My next one on here is Letters to the Lost. This is the only YA romance I have on here, which most of the YA I read when I read it is all fantasy. There's very few like contemporary YA that I think I read these days. This one is by Bridget Kemmerer, who is one of my favorite fantasy authors in like the YA fantasy space, and she definitely has had some books that I don't love, but like the whole A Curse So Dark and Lonely series I really liked. I have not yet read Defy the Night, but that's one of Bree's favorite trilogies from her. So Letters to the Lost is about these 2 kids who basically are dealing with some level of loss, and you kind of get like glimmers of how their losses are connected, but they're really getting to know each other through letters that they're leaving at a cemetery. And it's pretty, I would say, if you like the Dead Romantics, a lot of the same themes are present in this book. But you're also dealing with that like added coming of age element where they're both in high school. They're both in very different like circles. She's pretty popular with the like academic preppy kids, and he's the kid that works at a graveyard. So you can imagine how much fun he seems to the other high schoolers. And I think just them like growing into themselves and finding each other is, I love it. I would say it's like the Dead Romantics mixed with, honestly, Divine Rivals, because they're communicating in letters and they don't know who each other are for quite a bit of the book. So if that sounds appealing to you, you should read it. This is like one of those random ones where I picked it up because I was like, oh, Bertrid Kemmerer has like YA contemporary romance, because I had no idea that she did. I just came across it randomly at a Barnes & Noble, and then it ended up being in my top 10 reads of, I think, 2024 was the year I read it, and it was so good.
I think so. No, I have it on my list because you told me how good it was, and I do love Bertrid Kemmerer. One day, I will get to that book. I feel like that's the only book on your list I haven't read, unlike you, who hasn't read lots of mine.
Yeah, sorry.
My next one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Which is my favorite Emily Henry book, which I've loved all of her books except for People We Meet on Vacation, which I gave 2 stars. Not even ashamed about it. But Book Lovers was 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. Nora is, again, in the characters that I relate to with my whole soul. I love reading her story as the eldest daughter, elder sister, the way she relates to her younger sister, the way she described herself as like a shark and feeling like she has to be this certain way to get, farther in life and in her career and with men and all these different things. Like, I just related to that whole description so much, and reading the way she battled her emotions and her responsibilities and all these things was just super relatable, and I really just loved reading about it. And Charlie Lastra is the man of my dreams. I love him.
That's, I think, my second favorite Emily Henry book. I think it's just a really sweet story, and she's another one similar to Abby Jimenez, where I feel like the character development you get within the context of like one story is equivalent to like series long arcs in other situations, and the banter's really great. I love the small town. The fact that I think Emily Henry does a really good job at writing people like in the publishing space that feels very accessible and fun. So I support your pick.
I agree.
Next up for me, I'm going to go out of order because we're talking about Emily Henry, but my favorite Emily Henry book is Beach Read, which is her first one. I think her best. I'm similar to Brie in that I really like all of her books. I don't think I've read one that I haven't liked yet. I still haven't read Great Big Beautiful Life. I would say for me, People We Meet on Vacation and Happy Place are the two that I don't like as much, but they're still like, a bad Emily Henry book is still going to be better for me than most other people's best books in a lot of situations. So Beach Read, I think for me, is particularly because I love January and Gus so much, and their relationship, where she's kind of the like happy-go-lucky, loves to write and read romance, is like generally a pretty, I would say, satisfied person with her own life, obviously with a couple of minor inconsistencies here and there. And Gus is kind of this gloomy, like very smart but not very like happy person, and the way that they kind of meet each other where they're at and can, I think, grow as people reminds me a lot of my husband and I. And I just, you love to find yourself in a book. But I think just the whole setting, the fact that it's like lakeside and it's a beach read, but there's really so much more meat to it than just a standard, whatever book that you can read on vacation, blah, blah, blah. That one's my favorite for sure. And I like that all of her other books pretty much have cameos from January or Gus in some way throughout. I think that's really fun.
No, I think what's really funny is, like we said, Book Lovers is your second favorite, but it's my favorite, and Beach Read is my second favorite. And I loved it so much, and it doesn't hurt that January obviously reminds me of you. And so Nora and January were two of the characters that were on the shirt that Hannah got me, because she's definitely January and I'm definitely Nora. My next book is Rally by Devney Perry, which is a part of the Treasure State Wildcat series. And this is a sports romance, football, small town. I ate it up. This is the third book in the series, and my favorite book in the series. It is Accidental Pregnancy. Football star, quiet, nerdy girl, found family, forced proximity because she ends up having to live in the football house with him. Everything about it worked for me. I love Rush Ramsey as a character. I thought it really portrayed because they basically have a one-night stand at a party, and then she ends up pregnant, but he's the star quarterback, so, he's probably hooked up with a lot of people.
Drama.
And so I thought it really portrayed, what it would be like for the star quarterback to find this out, but he's a good guy, so he wants to be that way for her. and just like grappling with, you know, life-changing news and all these different things and your sports season. I really loved the way that his coaches were like mentors to him in that way. And I thought Faye was super relatable as like the girl who has to work really hard, is trying to get all A's and is trying to make it far in life. And just, I really liked their relationship, how much they loved each other. And I'm a sucker for anything sports romance and accidental pregnancy. So it hit all my boxes.
I was going to say, just hearing you talk about it, I feel like that would be, like, if you were to make a book of all the ingredients Brie loves, like, that would hit most everything.
Yeah, it did. It was like 10 out of 10.
I've only read Coach from this series, and I really liked it. At the time, none of the rest of the books were out yet, and I just haven't picked them up for whatever reason. But I do think Devney Perry excels at writing, I'm going to say like formulaic, not in a bad way, but I feel like she has kind of the elements down of like what really works for her contemporary romances. And she's now branched out into romantasy, which has gone, I think, really well for her so far. So I'm excited to see what else she comes up with.
Yeah, she's another author that I've read her whole backlist, and I think I've given, which she has like close to 100 books, I think. Like, she's got a lot.
She is a quick writer.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like, out of all of her books, I think I've given maybe 4 or 5 3 stars.
And even 3 stars
not
is not
that
bad.
many. Yeah, not for me. I was like, a 3 star is a solid book, in my opinion. So I was like, I just really dig her writing style and her characters.
My next one is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. This is another road trip book that deals with grief. So I don't really know why I like road trip books and grief books so much. But this one, we have our main characters, Maddie and Dom, who it's Dom's best friend and Maddie's older brother that passes away. And his like last wish is for the two of them to go kind of to he was a travel photographer. So he wants them to go to all of the states that he didn't get to visit during his lifetime and like check off some kind of bucket list item for him. And there's 8 states and they're supposed to do, I think it's only one a month or something like that. And so they have all these different kind of mini trips that they go on together. Predictably, they fall in love. But again, like all of the other romances, I would say that I really like. It's about the romance, but it's so much more than just the romance. And so I think kind of the major theme in this one is not letting your grief for a person that you've lost dictate how you live the rest of your life. And kind of the big message is that he would have wanted that for them. And so in, the only way that he could, right, in advance of his death, he kind of gives them tasks to ensure that they're still stepping out of their comfort zone, still going out and doing things, living the life that he would have wanted them to live, as opposed to like just being stuck in this like depressive episode of loss. I think books where you get to feel like you're experiencing different things are really fun for me too. A lot of my favorite books, as you guys probably noticed, involve some kind of travel element. So I really like that. And we talked about this book a bit in our very first episode of our top 10, because this wasn't my top 10 for 2025, so I won't belabor the point too much more. But there was a lot of people that thought the main character was annoying. Brie was one of them. But I think even if she annoys you, there's so much else in this book to love that's probably not going to put you off from the entire story, which is, I think, hard to do for an author. So she did a good job with that.
Agree, 100%. Everything you said. Okay, we're on to our last books. Sad day. Anyway, my last book is The Takeover by T.L. Swan, which I think is super underrated. It's a part of the Miles High Club series. I think it's Miles High Club series. It's all about the Miles brothers. This is the second book and it's the best book in the series. This is a series, like if you've read Zodiac Academy, like it's a vibes fantasy series. This is a vibes romance series. Like it is not the best written series in the whole world, but it's so good I couldn't put it down, even though there were things that like I was like, this is not well written. It doesn't matter because it's so good and you just love these characters. But this book is the standout from it. It perfectly balances like emotional writing and humor. Like I have never laughed out loud as much and sobbed as much as I did in this book. It is single mom, age gap, but she's older. She has 3 children and they're a really wide age range because her oldest is I think 18 and then like a middle schooler like 12-ish, 11 to 12-ish, and then like a 5-year-old. and their dad had died, I think when the 5-year-old was like 2 or something. So the 5-year-old like really didn't know his dad. And basically the whole premise is that Tristan Miles is a billionaire. He's a part of the Miles brothers that run a big media conglomerate, and the woman, Claire Anderson's husband, ran a smaller media company that since he's passed away is really doing bad. And so Tristan Miles is like, I want to buy your company and acquire it. And so they start off kind of like antagonistic, and then they go to a conference, they hook up. He is obsessed with her. He's like, I want to keep hooking up. And then he like is like, oh wait, she's a single mom. The meeting that this man has for the first time with her children is one of the funniest book scenes I've ever read in my entire life. It is so hilarious seeing this billionaire, like, reformed playboy show up, and these, like, 3 kids realize that this man knows their mom, and they just, like, lose their minds, and, like, he falls on a skateboard, he gets underwear shoved in his mouth, they throw things at, like, it is so funny. And he just, like... Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, and you're like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so he just, like, he is down bad for this woman so much that he literally, like, drops all his playboy ways. He wants to learn to be a good role model. He wants to be a part of their family. He wants to be in love. And there's a scene where they, like, go to the grave of the father that passed away, and I was bawling my eyes out. It was so good, so funny, so emotional, everything about it, 10 out of 10. It's so good.
Another one that I haven't read yet. They did they just trad publish these or just do new covers?
I think it's trad published now. I don't remember who published it, but yeah, there's new covers and it's now trad published.
Gotcha. I really like the new covers. It's like a stupid
They're
thing,
gorgeous.
but I didn't like the old ones, and that I don't like to be the
It's
person
like
that's like, that holds me back, but like, I don't want to...
Yeah.
I don't like, if that's your cover, the book can't be that good, which is not true, right?
Everyone
Everyone likes different covers.
No. But it literally, like, those covers, I wouldn't have read those books if they hadn't been on Kindle Unlimited when I first, like, started. Because I was like, this was a Kindle Unlimited, like, binge read when I was binging all kinds of random Kindle Unlimited romances.
You did have that phase.
It's a good time in my life.
My last one, which I know we said we didn't have an order to them, and we really didn't because I did these out of order, so the fact that this is my last one is just a coincidence, but this is my favorite of the entire list, and that is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is a romance between kind of a... I would say girl that's into, like, she's kind of like a marketing Barbie. Like, she's very into social media. She's kind of influencer culture adjacent, and she's grown up with her mom and her stepdad in, I want to say it's Toronto, but like definitely in Eastern Canada for her whole life. And when her parents got divorced, her dad moved to... they always lived in Alaska, and her mom moved away. So her dad's still in Alaska, and he always wants her to come visit. So she's finally going out to visit, and she falls in love with this, like, hunky bush pilot from Alaska. And it's a really sweet love story, very much like Grumpy Sunshine type style tropes. But this setting, I think, lends itself really well to a lot of found family, kind of small town vibes. And I think what really I would have loved all of that if it was just that, but what really sent it over the top for me personally was her relationship with her dad and how that grew and developed over the course of the book. Mm-hmm. I think K.A. Tucker has such a gift with being able to write about parent-child relationships, which I've seen even in other books from her that aren't even contemporary romances necessarily, and I just love this one so much. I think it will tug at your heartstrings, even if you think none of that will be relatable to you. And I really enjoy a romance series that doesn't just skip from couple to couple in each book. This is a 4-book arc. 3 of them are about Kala and Jonah, and then the last one switches POVs. And I thought I wouldn't like that one, but I loved that one just as much too. So I think the series as a whole is really worth picking up. I actually just got special editions of these from Dark and Quirky, I think, that are probably some of the most beautiful books that I own. And I love this whole series so much. So that's The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker.
Yes, I love that series too. I think the first book was 5 stars for me, and the 4th book was 5 stars, and I think they're tied for my favorite. But I really related to the FMC in the final book. But seriously, every single book was so good. And like you said, I love that it followed the same couple for so many books, and you really got to see them grow individually, but together as a couple as well. I just thought that was done so well.
I think the best comparison, even though subject matter is very different, would be ACOTAR to this series, honestly, because you get this, I mean, it's like ACOTAR without ACOTAR, like if you were to start it from ACOTAR, because you get like
ACOTAR with no wings.
this story of them falling in love, and then you get kind of this story of what their relationship looks like, you know, a couple years down the road as they're both kind of growing into the roles that they're going to have in this new relationship. And then you've got the Christmas special, and then you've got let's flip point of views to this person that maybe wasn't people's favorites in the first trilogy, and then you end up really liking her if you're Brie. If you're me, they're not 100% relatable, but you know, it's
well,
an interesting.
If you're Brie, you probably related and liked them the whole time.
Did you like Marie the whole time?
I didn't love her as much as I loved Nesta, but I still liked her, and I understood. I was like, I've been the best friend who's in love with your boy best friend, and then he's like, no, I don't feel that way about you, and you're like, well, what does this hoe have over me? Like, relatable.
I think that was really good messaging too. This is getting away from the Simple Wild and into Running Wild, which is the title of the fourth book, but I think they're like in People We Meet on Vacation, for example. There's a big portion, I think, of romance books where if you're in love with your best friend, obviously you're going to end up together. And so I like the route that one took, where it's like, not only do you not end up with the guy, but the guy ending up with the guy might not be like the victory that you thought it was, because here's this other person that fits you so much better in a way that like you didn't even foresee. And I also like that Jonah and Marie continued to stay friends despite him, you know, feeling kind of awkward about the fact that she had feelings for him, because I think a lot of authors in romance books really struggle to write like friendships between guys and girls where like the guy isn't gay, honestly. And I know that's, you know, kind of a blanket criticism, but those friendships don't just disappear because you find your person. So I like how that was kind of explored and dealt with in Marie's book.
Yes, agree, 100%.
And I think that's all we have on our favorite romances front. So now we're going to do kind of a closing activity. This one, we're just going to kind of quickly share some books that are on our, I would say, soon upcoming TBRs. Do you want to go first?
Yes. Do you want me to do all three, or are we going to go back and forth?
Maybe we can do all three. Just, I feel like that'd be faster than going back and forth.
Okay. My TBR trio, the first one is Rose in Chains. And if you have been following me on any platform for the past 6 months, I am 20 pages into this, and I have been 20 pages into this since October, and I started it in July, but I'm gonna finish it. It's like, it's priority numero uno. Like, I'm gonna do it.
Do you still have it, like, on your
Hopefully.
Goodreads, like, currently reading or whatever?
Yeah, I never took it off, because I'm still reading it, even though I haven't touched it in 3 months. I was like, but that's why I was like, after Iron Gold, I was taking a mini break before Dark Age, and so I was like, I'm going to read that and then go back. And that brings me to my next book, which is Dark Age. I'm actually buddy reading this with two of my friends from Book Talk, who both just finished Iron Gold, and we have all heard that this is one of the most depressing books.
Yeah.
And I am not emotionally prepared. Everyone just says the title is 100% correct, and that it is indeed a dark age. Can't wait for that. And the final one is another fantasy book. It is To Cage a Wild Bird, which is a fairy book that I got. It is stunning. If you're watching the video, look at this. It's a masterpiece. But I feel like from the description and everything, it was giving me Shatter Me meets The Prison Healer. And so, I don't know, those are just the vibes I'm getting, and I think two of my faves, and it looks really fun, and I haven't picked up a fantasy book in a while where I just felt totally engaged in the series and in the book as a whole that wasn't a part of a series I was already reading. So, a newer fantasy book. So, I'm hoping that one of these will feel that way to me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've read Rose in Chains. I think you'll really like that one. Did you read The Auction? The fanfic that it was sort of pulled from? Okay. I didn't read it either. But you can see the Dramini in it, even though, I don't know exactly what the plot was for the fanfic, but the vibes are there.
And I love Julie Soto, so.
Yeah, that was my only book I'd read from her up until now. I have as you might expect,
you need-
some others on my TBR, but.
Yeah, her romance books I feel like you would really like. You should read them.
And what else did you say? I have To Cage a Wild Bird on my TBR too. And then you had, which one? Sorry.
Dark Age.
Yes, obviously that's on
Dark
my
Age.
TBR. So cool. I'm excited. You got some good reading ahead.
Indeed.
Okay. My 3, we'll go quickly through these. My first one is Mona's Eyes by Thomas Schlesser, which doesn't look like a book, TBH, that I would normally be into. This is Barnes & Noble's like book of the year, and it got hand sold to me by one of the workers there. I was not planning on grabbing this one, but she was like, have you heard of this book? And I was like, nope. And then I didn't want to be rude and walk away. So, but now I'm really excited about this one. So it's basically supposed to be about a little girl who has some like degenerative ocular disease or something. So she's going to go blind within a year. And her parents are basically trying to get her therapy for like how to be blind essentially, because they have time to prepare for it. So they want her to, you know, make the transition as easy as possible. Her uncle volunteers to be in charge of this. This is all what I heard from the bookseller. I haven't even read the synopsis officially, so maybe I'm just lying. And his kind of like therapy lessons are basically just to teach her about art. And so they go every week to the Louvre. This is supposed to take place in France, and study a different piece of art and like life lessons to go with it for each week. And so it just sounds really cute. But this is like just kind of the main, standard edition. But the dust jacket has all of the art that they study like in the jacket, cool. And it flips open. So you have this whole like poster of all of these pieces, which I think is a super cool way to kind of tie in the book itself with like the story. But anyway, I'm very excited to read this one. So that's one. Then I've got The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is the first in, well, a trilogy called the Farseer trilogy, but the overarching kind of saga that combines a bunch of trilogies and quartets is The Realm of the Elderling. So this is the first one of the whole thing. So the whole thing is 16 books. So I'm embarking on a big adventure here. But the protagonist in this one is supposed to be Fitz, and I believe he is 6 years old, and the whole thing is told through from his perspective. So I'm very interested in seeing how that goes, but I hear really great things about this one. I've heard this series, one, it's a lot of people's favorite series of all time, which always intrigues me, but 2, it's supposed to be a very character-focused fantasy, which I feel like is not usually the case with fantasy. So I'm excited to see how that goes. Yeah. And then my last one, Brie and I were just talking about this for a while before we recorded this episode, but this is We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark. And I'm very excited for this one. It's supposed to be like Roman Empire vampires, I guess. This is the Fairy Loot version. And I think it'll be really good. I feel like this is receiving a lot of positive buzz from the bookish space. Yeah,
the last 2 are definitely like high on my TBR as well. Like I want to read both of them. They both sound so good.
Yeah, I think Fairy Loot books, I feel like I've read only 1 or 2 that have been misses. Most of them are all like 4 or 5 star territory for me. So
yeah, so that is all of our go-to favorite romances. And don't forget to let us know if you have read any of these. We want to hear from you guys. Send us an email, comment on our posts. Let's talk all of our favorite romance books because we have a lot of opinions and we want to hear yours too. Unless they're the wrong opinion.
There are no wrong opinions. Still share your
wrong opinion. We won't judge you too hard.
Okay. Thanks so much for listening to this episode, and we hope to see you back here next Tuesday. Thanks for listening.
That's it for today's episode of Chapter Chats. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Chapter Chats Pod.
And you can find me, Brie, at Brazen and Bookish on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Hannah, at Bookshelvish on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Substack.
Or you can email us at chapterchatspod@gmail.com with book recommendations, episode ideas, or just to say hi.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, follow, and subscribe on your favorite platform.
Catch you next chapter.